first step to writing acids is finding out what your acid is. We're going to be working with the example hydroiodic acid. You notice that it has the prefix hydro. This means that oxygen is not present in the anion of the acid. The cation is always going to be H+ because an acid needs to donate the hydrogen atom. Next, we look at the second part of the name. It says iodic. This means that it is the atom iodine. Because it has the prefix hydro, we know that it is not a polyatomic anion and doesn't have oxygen, and that it is just I-. Next, we notice that plus and minus, the charges, are equal. This means that we don't need to crisscross and figure out what the subscripts should be, but the ion is just written, or the acid is just written HI. Let's say you were working with hydrosulfuric acid and the charges were unequal. What you would do is cross the charge of hydrogen onto sulfur and the charge of sulfur onto hydrogen, creating H2S. Now we're going to practice writing an acid that doesn't have hydro as the prefix. Chloric acid. So, as always, H+, or hydrogen, is the cation. Now we're going to look at chloric for the anion. We know that this is ClO3 or chlorate because of its ending ic. I'll talk more about this on naming acids. Next, we know that the charges are equal, so we don't have to crisscross them, meaning that the final acid is HClO3. The next thing we're going to learn is how to name acids. The first thing you notice about HI is that it doesn't have oxygen in the chemical formula. This means that you're going to be using the prefix hydro. This takes care of the H+ ion. Next, you notice that the anion is iodine. To find the suffix that you would use on iodine, you just take the suffix ic because it is a single element. If the element was a polyatomic anion, it might not end in ic. This makes HI hydroiodic acid. The next acid we're going to learn how to name is a little more difficult, HClO4. You notice that there is oxygen. This means that you're not going to be using the prefix hydro. ClO4 is a chlorite ion. Because it is chlorite, you're going to be using the suffix -us. You can see from this chart which suffix to use depending on the suffix of your actual element. This makes this acid chlorous acid.